All right, so we are going to go back and we run PHP artisan serve. Press enter, and then it'll start the server for us to run our local host. I'll refresh here, the server is running. Also, do not forget that npm run dev is running here. Okay, so npm run dev is running here. And then I'm going to go and modify the login page so that it can contain our two items, okay, from the users table. The first one is the first name, then the last name, and then the access, I don't need it because it will be created by default. All right, so I'm going to go to login, not login, sorry, register. I'm going to go to the register page. Now on the title, we'll come back to this, to the title here. Okay, I'm going to go to the register page. As you can see, we only have name. I'll come back to views, auth, then I go to the register page, and then I'm going to change a few things. I'm not going to go into detail about the errors, the email error and what, because now I really want to rush to the other part of uploading, modifying, and whatsoever. Okay, so you are posting this form to the register route, okay, to the register route, as we're going to see. But the first thing we want to do, one, this label should, instead of being name, should be first name. Okay, so it's going to be first name. I've taken out the issues of checking for errors, and then the value here is going to be first name. I'm not checking for all the inputs, no. So the value is going to be, the name here is first name. So the value, I'm not going to check that. And then the autocomplete, I'm also going to remove that. Okay. And then let the field be required. Great. So I'm not checking for these errors. Those errors come in if you put maybe wrong or mismatching credentials. So I've just copied and pasted again. And then the other one was first name. And then this is going to be last name. Last name. That is the form field that will be sent the other side. Last name. I've not put the label. So let me put the label. Oh, where's the label? Here's the label. The label will be also last name. Last name. So I'll save. Okay. And you can see the power of npm run dev. All right. So when you press register, of course, we're going to get some errors. When you press register, and then I'm going to add the email, and then the password, my passwords are always simple. Laravel required. For this case, Laravel requires 8. Okay. The email, these are for test purposes. Of course, I don't put them in production. and then I choose to register, I expect an error. Okay, so the name field is required, the first name. So it is going to our controller. Which controller is supposed to handle whatever is sent from the front end? So Laravel is the model view controller setup. So MVC. So we must go now to our controller, which will be found under HTTP controllers, auth controllers, and then the register controller. Okay. Then we fill in the required here. For example, the first name is required. First name. So this is the validator, which will, the first name is expected to be a string. Then secondly, the last name to required. Last name. Okay. So I'm trying to teach you what are the requirements in the initial stage, what you need to know the process of the model view controller. Okay. Then after validating, we're going to create one, the first name. Okay. Which is coming from the data of the first name. And then we do the same. Okay. Which is, so I'm going to replace this with the last name, last name, last name. Okay. So here, the validator function, okay, is validating and asking, make a data variable, which will have an array of data, which will include the first name, which is required, the last name, which is required, the email, which is required, and the password, which is required. And then what is required in those? For example, the email is required. It must be a string. It must be an email. It must have a maximum of that. And it must be unique to the users. Okay. And then the password, things of the sort. And then it is validating and then sending back, okay, to the register.blade those errors. Which errors I said I'm not going to focus on, but I have mentioned them. And then if that goes well and the validation is successful, okay, now create an array, okay, of create, and the input is the array of data, okay, and then you're going to get the user model. The user model is already in models. I'm going to show you how to create models, but let's understand for them. Using the user model, because we're going to find out models in the second error that comes up, because remember we've changed that a few things. Using the user model, create, okay, a table. No, create a field in the table where the first name is from the array of data and the first name, the last name, the email, such thing. Okay, so I'll go ahead and save and then come here and then register. Again, I expect another error. Okay. I choose to register. I expect another error from Laravel because I've put in new fields such as the first name and the last name, which cannot be, okay, which cannot be empty by default. Okay, so it is warning me that the field first name does not have a default value. Okay, so it does not exist. No, it exists here in the database, the field first name. Okay, I'll go to UGstock. Okay, I'll go to users here. And under users, the field first name exists, but it is not receiving the data being given to it. Why? That's now when we go to the models. It is the model that communicates with the database. Okay? What to actually access. So to find the models, okay, I'll collapse HTTP. It's under app models. And then our model is the user model. And you can see it is the access to the table. And it is saying that it cannot find the first name. It cannot find, that is the first field. It cannot find the last name. Last name. Now, I'm going to add another field. Which field is access? By default, access will be empty. In fact, I don't need to add it here. Let me first show you that I don't need to add it. But I'll add it because when I want to edit access, it must go through the model. So however, I'm going to go back and create now the user. Okay. I can decide to refresh it. But let me create the user again. Come here, Simon, Luga, and then the password. Then I choose to register. This time around is going to register the user and log me in. So you see, I'm now logged in. So let's check our database and we're going to refresh. So one, we are going to have the first name, Kamia, and then the second name, Simon, and then email. And by default, access is 1. Okay? So access is 1 by default because we came to our migrations here under the users table. We gave it an access of 1, true. Okay? But I said when we were creating, if you remember in that video, that I will usually give it false until the user verifies that their email exists. Okay? And then that is what they say, confirm. I can use this to detect. And then the user can be fully registered. Great. Okay. So now with that, I think we are now ready to create our project, to start our project. And then we are going to start with the view, a bootstrap view, or I'll start with the admin side. Let's do that in the next video.